guys. So programming as done at range of motion, a bit different to standard CrossFit programming. There's a bunch of our sessions there, which is basically the 10th evolution of the programming that we do. Feel free to have a look through those, familiarise yourself with the session types. What we basically do, guys, is what I call controlled randomization. So there's a lot of variation, which of course is one of the cornerstones of CrossFit programming. But it's very controlled in how it's done, so it's not just a bunch of sessions that we chuck out there. And basically that comes down to a proportion of different session types. So the sessions that have the most beneficial effect on the most components of your fitness will occur at a higher frequency than those sessions that aren't as effective for your fitness. But I'll come to that stuff later. Let's look at the movements first, guys. CrossFit separates movements into gymnastics, which is any bodyweight stuff, into weightlifting, which is anything with barbells, kettlebells, med balls, anything where you're lifting a load, and into monostructural stuff, which is basically anything where you cover distance, like running, swimming, cycling, rowing, etc. What I do is take a slightly different tack, and I break it down into the movement types in terms of what the body's actually doing biomechanically, rather than the movement class, like a weightlifting, gymnastics, or the monostructural stuff. So put very simply, guys, I'll break down the movements into push, pull, squat based. You could call that anterior chain being muscles down the front, but of course squats done correctly are very posterior chain as well, and deadlift based, which is more sort of pure posterior chain stuff. So I'll break down all the sessions, and any exercise you can think of should fit neatly into one or more of these categories. And then of course you can then combine them, so you can go exercises that are push and pull, and start having to think about what you think will fit into these categories, because I'll go around in a second and we'll get some examples done up. You can have push and legs. If I write legs, it's normally a squat based movement. You can have pull and legs. You can have push, pull and legs, and then I'll put monostructural stuff in there as well. Alright, so I don't care whether it's a gymnastics or a weightlifting based movement. Example of a pull based exercise, shout them out. Pull ups. Anything else? Let's get 3. Sorry?
Supine.
Yeah, supine pull up.
Makers, dumbbell rows, I think.
That brings in other movements as well, but if you do like a renegade row, yeah. So remember, guys, don't just think basically in a push-up position, row. Don't just think bodyweight stuff, guys. How about a weightlifting movement that is only pull-based?
Deadlift?
No, I put it in the deadlift category. A clean's got a deadlift component to it as well, because a clean, you're talking power clean. So a power clean is basically you have the deadlift first. Hanging power clean. Yeah. So a hanging power clean would also go in there. So just that movement. Okay. About push, quickly 3 of them.
Push up.
Yep.
Press. Push press.
What'd you say, Bryn?
Push press. Handstand push up.
Not quite.
Handstand push up.
Yep. Squat based movement.
Squats.
Squat.
Jumping squats.
Back squat. Overhead squat. It's a deadlift.
You can still do sumo squat as well.
Pistol. Okay, yeah. A deadlift based movement, so basically this is just your posterior chain movement. We'll just go with deadlift.
Okay.
Sorry?
Okay. How was that?
That'll be there.
Pull legs? Yeah.
Yeah. Push and pull, so only upper body.
Like a push up with the renegade row.
Yep. How about a gymnastics one?
Muscle ups.
I was going to say that one. Yeah, me too.
Anything else? A little bit tricky, yeah? Not as many. How about with a barbell?
Hanging power clean and jerk.
Yep, hanging power clean and jerk. Alright, so can you see how we're thinking of the exercises in terms of movements, not in terms of muscles? We're thinking, what does it involve, rather than we need to work biceps, we need to, that sort of crap. We're thinking the sort of movements that you're doing and what the end result is. Pushing legs, wobble. Johnny G? Said it before.
Thruster.
Thrusters. So what you should be able to see, is there any difference between a wall ball and a thruster? Not really. Okay, it's the same thing. It's a squat and a throw. Sprawl ball. You could even probably put burpees into here. I'd sort of flirt burpees between there and monostructural. Burpees aren't really a monostructural exercise, but I'd program as if they are. Burpees, wall ball, I might also put monostructural just because it has a real sort of metabolic effect. But let's put burpees in there. Pulling legs.
Squat cleans. Would you put in that?
Squat, clean, yeah.
Deadlift partner?
Yep. So you can see when I've put legs in here, I haven't distinguished whether it's a squat based or a deadlift based. Who knows what blood shunting is? Yeah. One of the main things, and I'll come to this as well, with your programming is blood shunting. If you look at a really, really tough session like Fran has got a push and leg based movement, and it's got a pull based movement. So you've got push and pull in the upper body and a leg one for the lower body. The reason that's so tough is because with blood shunting, you're doing your thrusters, the blood's going to your legs and going to the muscles involved in pushing. You then go to pull-ups. Your body basically has to put the handbrake on where the blood was going and shunt it through to a different area. So very high metabolic effect. It's why workouts like that are so tough. You look at something like Elizabeth, which is a squat clean and ring dips. Same thing. It's a deadlift-based movement with a pull, and then your push is the ring dips. So when you look at a session, and if you look at those sessions that I've handed around there, all of them are a balance of movements because A, it means you're working everything evenly, B, it means it's just going to smash your cardiorespiratory system. So it's a slightly more efficient way to do it. Push, pull, and legs.
Squat clean and jerk.
Yep. You could even say a power clean and jerk.
Yeah.
As well, because it's got the deadlift-based movement in there. If you're like your man makers you're talking about before. Yep. Monostructural.
Running, rowing, swimming.
Run, row, swim.
Where does things like double unders come in?
I'd put that in monostructural.
Yep.
I'd put
Box jumps
skipping
as well,
in
things like
monostructural. I'd put box jumps in monostructural.
Yep.
CrossFit would say that box jumps, skipping, burpees are gymnastics-based movements, but I put them into monostructural, mainly because if you do 100 burpees for time, you aren't being limited by muscular endurance, you're being limited by cardiorespiratory endurance. Whereas if you're doing 100 back squats for time, it's not because your heart's jumping out of your ear that you're stopping, it's because you can't lift the bloody thing anymore. Okay, so that's basically, we can take any movements and fit them into one of those categories. Okay, so that's how I put together what movements are actually going to be in a WOD.